Part of being an artist is that you have this opportunity to make or remake something, to make it different. There's a creative aspect to it that allows one to reimagine possibilities. If you close your eyes and open your mind, you can imagine other things. My name is Athena LaTocha. I make large-scale ink wash on paper and incorporate elements of lead into the work. A lot of popular culture, you're watching movies and television, and there was always references to New York City, and I always wanted to go there, you know. And growing up in Alaska, I mean, it's a very different environment. New York, and the image that I had of New York is this centuries-old place with overlapping histories. That was always something that I was very intrigued by, you know, looking at that kind of history and looking at the different cultures and peoples that have come through. I ended up moving to this railroad loft in Fort Greene, right over on Myrtle Avenue. It was very exciting because it was a different Brooklyn at that time. Right across the street from BRIC, these federal and state government agencies used to be occupying that building there, and those structures have been demolished. I wanted to collect some of that debris, some of that demolition media, and I was able to go out and collect that material to bring back and incorporate into the work. For this particular piece for BRIC, it was driving and walking, looking for things that I was interested in, looking for facets of the process of what a city is and how a city becomes. So, of course, New York, including the boroughs, is constantly in a state of becoming, right? And constantly in a state of disappearing. So finding access to earth or soil that has been here for millennia was very complicated because of the volume of construction that takes place in an urban environment. A lot of that soil is imported in. The building sand, you know, sometimes comes from, you know, Southeast Asia, you know, other parts of the United States. So I'm collecting all types of materials. I'm collecting organic media, collecting soil, collecting footage, sound, video, and still images. This is the first time that I'm actually incorporating some of that footage that I've captured from the field into the actual installation in the gallery. Some of that documentation included pile drivers from the construction site across the street from BRIC House. It also included construction sounds such as drilling and grinding, the sound of the hydraulics, the dumping of earth from the shovels. All those sounds become part of the experience, and listening to it is re-experiencing what it was like to be there. When the earth comes back into the studio, or any of the source material that's collected from various sites, whenever that comes back into the studio, I often don't know what I'm doing with it at first or how it's being incorporated. Sometimes I'll collect things and bring things into the studio as just as a reference to trigger a memory or an evocation of the place that I'm working from. Everything starts kind of with the ink. The process itself in the studio, it starts with the ink. And quite often, in order to launch the work or activate the work, to begin the work, I will mix up large vats of, you know, usually a couple gallons of the ink. So in the case of BRIC, after the sheet was constructed, it was literally like standing in the middle and just hurling it down across the floor and hurling it across the sheet. My first go at this piece, it was laying down probably about 10, 20 gallons of ink wash, and then taking probably 10, 20 gallons of water and throwing that into the ink wash to see what happened in that collision of the water with the ink and how the ink and water intermixed. This piece here, it became more and more relevant to assemble the paper with a grid. There was a grid that was established over New York. And so I was really interested in that idea of, how these early urban planners had used the grid to divide up the space for real estate and to help bring people in. One of the things that I've always been particularly interested in is how one's environment influences or inspires or instills elements within us or concepts within us. How does it make us who we are? Because I think that our environments make us who we are, whether it's a social, cultural, but also our physical environment influences us. Coming into the project for BRIC and working in an urban environment, this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Going out and working in areas of wilderness is something that I love doing, and trying to capture something, trying to find something within that, and trying to make something with that to be inspired or influenced by it. So I was really curious, how am I going to be? Will I be? How does it manifest? Thinking about the grid, thinking about concrete, thinking about the history of the urban. A lot of the work that I do, it allows me time and space to consider not just the geography and the geology in large spans of time, but also looking at various historical elements or historical events that have taken place through all of these periods, and how that might influence or interrupt my own way of thinking about place and being. The work's not done. So what happens in the next couple weeks will be very telling, but I always go into every project with an open mind, not knowing exactly where it will go, but only knowing what I have done. So it's hard to know what will come after.